Hey LAN Party gamers! Today is a big project day. As you can see in front of me on the table and on the ground, we have a lot of computers that need a little bit of TLC. And we're going to be moving parts around because some of the ways that we configured some of these systems in the past, due to what parts we had in stock, stuff that was given to us by other LAN Party goers, and things of that nature, well, we've got a lot more options now than we did when we built all of these systems. So I'm going to take you through each one and how they're going to be swapping parts in and out to make the best case for what we use those systems for, the best mix and match of parts to accommodate those practices. So come along with me as we go from case to case and start moving parts in and out and see how using the best part for the job affects the usability and functionality of each system, and really raises our quality of all these systems up per use case. So let's take a look at each one. If you're a watcher of this channel, and I hope you are, you might have recognized the Ryzen system here on my right with its brand new decal, and it's finished. However, it's doing one thing that I wish, well, we're going to fix today. This system on my left here has a GTX 1060. This system on my right has an RX 480. And we usually use this system here when we do virtual reality on the go. Well, because we have 10 of these Ryzen-based systems, all with 780 or GTX 1060 equivalent 3 gig cards, if I just simply swap them, this system will get a better card for VR, an 8 gig RX 480, and this system will get an equivalent card to the rest of the Ryzen-based systems that we loan out to conventions and to you when you're here gaming at our HQ. Meaning that we can keep all the drivers the same between all of the Ryzen-based systems, and both systems get a better video card for what they're built to do. Pure gaming, VR enabled. Now, going over to the upgrades on the AmmoCan. This currently has a first gen i5. If you try to stream anybody playing something like Beat Saber, or any VR title for that matter, not only does the stream look kind of shoddy, but even worse is we want to make sure the people in VR have a good time swinging around their lightsabers or whatever they may be doing. But we want to be able to stream that from time to time depending on the convention that we're at and if we have internet. Well, what we're going to be doing for this is we've got a server computer on our mobile server rack that has an i7 2600. We're going to swap that motherboard into here, and we're going to put this motherboard and CPU in a system that we'll try to either sell or give away, or something of that nature. Maybe we'll use it as another system if one goes down. And that's right over here. In our previous video about servers, you saw us talk about this dual server rack. This is what we bring to hotel events, like our November LAN-a-thon and upcoming October LAN-a-thon, and our Comic-Con events where we need a lot of horsepower in a very small package. So this is obviously running 2 servers, including that i7 that's going to go in the AmmoCan we just talked about. What we're going to be doing is removing the bottom server with the i7 in it and putting in an actual Dell server. This is a PowerEdge T310. It's got a 4-core Xeon with hyper-threading, so it's basically a better i7 for the purpose that we need, and it's built to go in an application like this. It's got multiple NICs built in. It's got 2 terabyte RAID, 4 by 2 terabyte RAID 5 array already set up and ready to go. What we're going to be doing is moving the SSD from this server, this i7 server, into that, and then we're going to be also adding an extra 5 terabyte Steam cache to that chassis. Then we're going to be moving some parts into this rig from the AmmoCan. It's going to be going in here, the i5 system. Maybe find a good video card for this and find somebody who is short a computer and make this system theirs. So we'll see what we can do with that. But with all the parts that we've got and all the purposeful moving around that we're going to be doing, I think for one we're going to see a lot of redundancy with the new server, as it's got 2 power supplies. It supports ECC RAM, and we're using a RAID 5 array instead of a JBOD or RAID 0 array, meaning we can lose a drive and our entire server and storage capacity doesn't go down on the road. I think this is going to help us out a lot. It's going to make us look a little bit more professional, and for things like streaming VR with the AmmoCan rig, it's going to make a lot smoother and make a lot people see us in a more professional capacity. So let's get to building and taking apart all these systems. Now the only thing that we're waiting on is our new 48 to 52 port Cisco switch. This is a switch that our very good friend Cam Audio suggested to us, and we're going to be replacing these two 24 port switches that we're having to chain together to get our 48 ports, which means we're losing 2 ports by doing that. This is going to be a fully managed switch, and it's going to allow us to do certain things that we just simply can't do with these dumb switches. That they've worked great, and we'll still be using these for when we need to extend the LAN past a certain number of users, but we're going to be using those out in the LAN and using a new 52 port switch as our main switch here on the rack. So when that comes in, we'll be installing that. We're still waiting on that part, but for now we've got a lot of work to do while we wait for that to come in. Well, we decided to start from this side of the table and work our way towards the servers. So first, we're going to go ahead and swap the video card from our AMOCAN VR system into this Ryzen-based system so we can flop them back and forth. And this is pretty cool. You might have seen this if you watched the custom quarter build for this, but it's basically just a cheap chassis that I found fit perfectly inside this AMOCAN case. And the whole thing just lifts straight up. Not too bad. So that'll make it really easy to get this 1060 out of here. And then we just got to put the old 2600 system in it, and then we can put the RX 480 in that. So here goes the 2500 or 2600 i7, and we're going to put that in the AMOCAN computer. And here's the i5. We're going to put that in here. This little guy right there. We're going to have to cut. Oh well.
Mango.
Nice. Well, we got all the parts, it looks like, into the AMOCAN computer with the i7 and the RX 480. We had to cut some notches in the case, as well as a little bit of notch in the shroud for the RX 480 for the 24 pin to go into. But we've got the fans hooked up, we've got everything plugged in, and now it's time to see if it posts before we continue. So if we have to make any changes, we can do so without tearing the whole thing apart. So let's take it over to the screen and see if it turns on. Alright, so we got it to post, and we've got the hard drive installed now, so let's see if we can get into Windows without having to reinstall it, and if Windows boots, and if the button works. We'll switch the power switch.
Open changed.
What? Well, it's a new day, and we finally got in the parts to try to repair this AMOCAN computer. We're going to take out the original Dell motherboard and the i7 2600 that's in it, and put in this Hoshi something motherboard here. We got pretty cheap on Amazon, and it's weird because it has stickers and labels on the side for AMD FX, AMD 64, AMD E2 Vision, Athlon, as well as Core 2, Duo, Quad, Pentium socket types. But when we open the box, it's definitely an Intel socket, and thankfully it even has the IO shield with it. So we'll install it, throw our 2600 in there and see if she boots, and then throw in our Radeon RX 480 8GB card and see how well it does with VR, because the AMOCAN system has been a pretty solid VR setup with an i5, and now it should be even better with the i7. So let's see if this sort of who knows what Chinese motherboard actually works once we boot it up.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well now that we know that the AMOCAN boots and a fresh coat of Windows, we're going to go ahead and get into VR and see how well this RX 480 paired with an i7 2600 and 16 gigs of DDR3, how well it works, and maybe if there's any fine tuning needing to be done, we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll put it in the AMOCAN. So let's go. Well, now that we know it works with the Oculus and presumably the Vive as well. And it seemed to work just fine. Maybe a little bit of fine tuning with the goggles, but that's something we would do at an event. Just gonna let Windows updates patch, let a few more VR games download, and we'll throw it in the bin. And we can call it good enough for the i7 with the RX 480. While we wait for the parts for the server computer, we're getting some more RAM in, and we're waiting for a couple of the things to come in, I decided to go ahead and build the i5 system. Now this is what was in the ammo can and now is being put into this empty chassis. One odd thing is we could never get the front panel I/O to work, and to be honest, it's a little dated. It's all USB 2, it even has a FireWire port. These are the plugs that came out of the chassis that was originally the ammo can. This has got a USB 3, a headphone and microphone jack, as well as a USB 2 Legacy, and it's got all the appropriate cables on the bottom. And when you put it up to the front panel, the USB, the headphone, and the microphone all line up perfect with the already punched out holes in the case. All I have to do is expand the FireWire jack to accept the USB 2, and this thing should just slot right in, hot glue it in there, and that should be a fairly easy switch. So I just got to take off this front panel and hope that it's as easy as I think it will be. We're going to Dremel out these two posts, and this PCB should just fit right through these holes. Alright, well, with a little bit of hot glue and some paint and some dremeling, I think that looks not bad. Alright, we've got the Dell server here, and we've thrown in a 5 terabyte Steam Cache drive on a caddy to replace this tape drive, and on the bottom of that we've got our SSD from the previous server. So now it's time to make sure Windows boots, and if not, we'll have to do some reinstalling and then reconfiguring the Steam Cache on Windows via Hyper-V, virtualizing the Steam Cache Linux partition to run off of the 5 terabyte drive so we can have a nice big LAN cache on the road. So it's taken us a little bit of extra time to put this video together, mostly because we're waiting things to come in through the mail. A couple of those things are finally here this weekend. We're going from this 350 watt power supply with its ports on the top to plug things in. This is a uninterruptible power supply, or a UPS. It's our battery backup just in case there's a power failure or fluctuation at the facility that we're hosting LAN out of, to this 1500 watt unit with the ports on the back. And the reason why that matters for us is because of the depth and height of this new server. Everything has to be shifted lower on the rack, which puts very little space availability for the power supply to fit on the bottom. So we can't actually plug anything into the top of this one without being creative with extra power strips or anything, and that I don't want a daisy chain if possible. This is going to eliminate that problem, and we're going to be able to stick these ports straight out the side of the server rack here and be able to plug things in and out. There's even more of them, so we can have the server plugged into one, the switch plugged into another, the Wi-Fi access point plugged into one, and the pfSense router up here at the top plugged into the other one, meaning that everything will be on a battery backup and not just the server and possibly the router like it was before. Now that those have come in, we have also had to wait for some RAM to come in for the server that we were given. It had 16 gigs of RAM, that's 4 sticks of 4 gigabytes each, but it had 2 free RAM slots, and we want to run everything in triple channel just for having that extra RAM, having a little bit more overhead, and being able to do more virtual machines and online servers for games, as many as possible, running off the same box. So on eBay we found, for about 10 bucks each, we found 4 gig sticks of ECC DDR3, and we put those in, and one of them didn't work, so we're having to send that one back. We had to order another 4 gig stick, and it's here. So now we've got 24 gigs of ECC RAM running out of this server box here, as well as all the hard drives and things like that we've ordered over the last couple of weeks to get this thing as battle ready as we can for the upcoming events that we have planned for it. So that's really excited. Let's go ahead and throw this stuff in and make sure it all works. Okay, moment of truth here. We've got the power supply plugged into the wall. We've got it turned on. It says battery is full, and we've got everything plugged into it, and about as cable managed as well as I could with the limited space at the bottom. We're also using the incoming line into the UPS for the internet and then out to the router on the top. So if there's any issues or lightning strikes or whatever through the network cables, it should help with that too. I looked online and it is supposedly a gigabit adapter. So hopefully that doesn't hurt anything as far as speed goes. So I'm going to turn on the switch. The switch is already on. Okay. So we're going to turn on the router. Alright, good. We got power. Oh, okay, yeah. The green light means good. And now we're going to turn on the server. Ooh. A nice little blast of air from the back. Yeah. Sounds good. And now, if we see something on the screen, I think we call this a success. We'll test out the internet as well. Let's take a look. Alright, so we waited around a little bit, and, well, it didn't really work connected through the UPS, so we went ahead and disconnected that, and I've got the incoming WAN source directly plugged into the pfSense box, and then back out through the switch. And we're getting full gig. I went ahead and installed the PowerShoot APC software. This is for the power supply. And it looks like it's only using about 243 watts right now. It's not doing a whole lot, obviously, at this moment, but that means it's got quite a bit of backup battery in it, so that we have more time to diagnose an issue where there's power outage somewhere in a building that we're servicing a LAN at. So that's great. It works well right out of the box. We're just gonna not run a connection through it, which I've never seen that really been a problem, or at least very rarely, so I'm not too terribly worried about that. So that pretty much is it, I think, for the mobile server. Well guys, that's going to sum it up for this video. You might be asking what I'm going to do with all of this other server rack mount hardware. Well, the parts aren't coming in the amount of time that I had to finish this project, so we're going to have to find something else to do with this. We didn't really have a set plan for this hardware anyway, so it's not like we're losing out by not having it. We've got the new server rack for upcoming conventions finished, which we have to use this coming weekend for Anime Kanji. So if you're going to be out in San Diego, come down to Anime Kanji this weekend at the first weekend of June, last weekend of May. If you're in the area, come on down, come to the Esports Lounge and visit us. We've got the i5 system doing a lot of the stuff on the projector, and then we've got the i7 system in the ammo cam taking care of our Oculus. So if you see us there, make sure and stop by, say hi, and check out some of the builds that you saw us rearrange and get the best out of what each can do by swapping around parts. And I love seeing a system come to its full potential by being able to just move some parts around, not spending hardly any money on upgrades, and getting way better performance for a specific task. If you like this kind of content, make sure you hit subscribe, and if you're ever in the San Diego area, make sure you drop by our LANs. Visit us at sandiegoland.net. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.